Managing a small team or business comes with a unique set of challenges. With limited resources and manpower, it's easy for things to feel chaotic and out of your control. How can you, as a leader, accomplish your goals while keeping your team engaged, effective, and accountable? This podcast will give you practical strategies you can implement now to lead your team or business to reach its fullest potential. Welcome to the Organizing Chaos podcast with your host, Danny Coleman.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Organizing Chaos, where we talk about small practical strategies for small teams and small businesses. And today I am in the very cool, very hip Muletown Collective, located here in the Columbia Arts Building here in Columbia, Tennessee. And I have with me the Mr. Aaron Rudd. Aaron, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Danny. I appreciate you inviting me.
Totally. And thanks for letting us do it here. I think your spot's it's still cooler than my office. Maybe one day, but yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I got the money for it. And also, just to address it and get it out of the way, I have this big thing on my finger because I almost cut my finger off camping this weekend. So please don't be distracted by this as we have an actual interview.
Just like keep it
because I know that at some point, because I talk with my hands. I was doing a video earlier. I'm talking with my hands so much that I had to like keep it under, and I'm just like moving this hand all like this, and I'm like, oh, it looks so awkward. Yeah. But anyways, so go ahead and just get it out of the way. But yeah. So again, thanks for having me here, and tell us a little bit about who you are, Aaron Rudd, and how you came to be here in the leader of the Muletown Collective.
Okay. I'm Aaron Rudd. I'm nearly 40 years old.
Oh, okay.
And
I would not have guessed that.
yeah. I turned 40 at the beginning of 2019. So
congrats! I turned 30 in a few weeks.
Excellent.
Entering the big boy stage.
Yeah. So we showed up in Columbia about 3 years ago after moving out of Spring Hill. And, really one of our first experiences of community was at Muletown Coffee. Been a website developer for 17 years. I found myself in and out of coffee shops. And, moving into Columbia, we wanted to be here and get to know people. One of my biggest passions throughout life is just connecting with people and collaborating with others. It really jives me quite a bit. And so, Muletown Coffee, ran into Austin and others, and just spending some time there, just overhearing conversations and such, I really began to get a sense about the community and just how people were really kind and genuine and wanted to be helpful. In the place that you were, I met a lot of farmers.
Yeah.
We purchased a farm and 3 years ago and began to, just develop it a little bit. It was a huge mess.
Yeah.
It took us a year just to be able to maneuver around and get a sense of what it was going to be like to live there a bit. And so.
And you're building a house now, right?
Yeah. It's been 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And we just started doing that, but. Aside from Muletown Coffee, one of the more public things that we experienced was hunting in the district. And one of the greatest things about that, it was like there was all different types of people represented there that night. And I just felt like I was just so humbled to be here in the midst of so many different people from so many different backgrounds. And like, wow, this is in Columbia,
And the hunting in the district, sorry, for anyone who doesn't know, it's the Halloween thing, right?
Halloween.
Okay, cool. It's like around the square, right? Okay, cool.
So it was just amazing to see just a wide array of people, ethnicities represented.
Yeah.
Because that in Spring Hill is not, there's not really much of a community. I know Spring Hill's changing and growing, and still love Spring Hill.
Yeah.
But I really love the diversity that was represented here, and I wanted to be a part, and so being in the situation that I was, not having a home or being in a home, I needed an office space. I needed fast internet. I live out in the rural part of Columbia, far north, and so I needed those things, and I love the community, and I really wanted to invite the community to the office space that we were getting into, co-working. So here we are.
Some people may not know what co-working is. What is co-working?
So co-working simply we provide office space that includes Wi-Fi, printing, and Muletown coffee. Whether you're full-time, part-time, or you just need a place to work for the day, it's a very work-centric. You come in, you can connect with somebody, build some community. In that fashion, we have about 10 members right now. And then outside of that, everyone represented here knows that we come to work. Mm-hmm. And so there's a mutual respect as far as that goes. But at the same time, we do like to have fun as well. So really, it's pretty basic: Wi-Fi, coffee, printing, community, and we have events every once in a while. Mm-hmm. We host private events, parties. We had the Writers' Round last Friday. We definitely want to make this a community-centric place as well for people to be able to use and connect ultimately.
Now this was, this is in the Columbia Arts Building. Mm-hmm. How did you first find out about, or get connected to be able to open up this space up here?
So I spent most of my time socially on Facebook, and during that time my wife had opened up to Instagram, and through, like we all do, just kind of seeing who's out there, who we can connect with. My wife found Holly Freeman at Hello Freeman Farms, and she had an open house a few weeks after Jenny, my wife, began to follow her, and we caught wind of her open house on the farm. Mm-hmm. We went to her farm with the kids, and we ended up winning a chicken at her house. And
you won a chicken?
We won a chicken. She was giving away a chicken. I don't even know what the contest was, to be honest, but we went home with a chicken, which we had
that is Columbia.
25. Yeah. And so, the kids had a blast, and Bob and Holly invited us over. Bob is Holly's husband. They invited us over the following week to have coffee. And I guess at that point they had just purchased the Columbia Arts Building. And we got to come see the space. And at that point it was like we had the opportunity where we were to open an office space. I honestly hadn't even thought about opening an office space at that point. Other than several years before, I had an opportunity with a friend in Franklin to come alongside him, partner with him on a co-working space. So
you did one before?
Well, I had the opportunity to do it. It just didn't go through. I've changed a lot in the last 3 years. I've become much more of an executor in ideas and things that I want to do, other than saying, oh, there's an idea, maybe one day, But these days, it's changed, and seeing opportunity, I tend to jump on things, and seeing what this space held in particular. We're in a conference room. It had that already there. It had its own restroom. That opportunity was already there. Mm. So just what this room alone presented, it was like, oh, co-working, came into my brain. Yeah. And so it was like, okay, you didn't take the opportunity years ago. Now you do. You do need an office space, et cetera. It just kind of made sense.
Cool. So and I want you to speak to that, because I think it's really good. You hit on you've been executing more. So a lot of business owners have a lot of ideas, there's lots of ideas. You want to do a lot of different things. I have to cull down the number of things that I want to engage into. What did you learn, I guess, or how would you talk about how you went from the not, or an idea, to then bringing it to reality? Mm-hmm. What was that like for you? What was difficult or easy about that?
Yeah, I mean, just from a practical standpoint, you had to furnish the place, and then you have a lease, and then you have to have internet, so there are multiple steps involved. Mm. Thankfully, with the office space, other than furnishing and, paying, your lease, and then electric and, your internet, there's not a whole lot more overhead. Coffee
Mm-hmm.
is one. But yeah, practically there were just steps of getting it furnished, setting up your LLC, just starting to make relationships. How do you want to do this? Do you want to use Muletown coffee, or do you want to supply your own coffee?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we want to support local.
Yeah.
And we knew that was important to our market in Columbia. And, so those were some of the steps that we had to take to make this place a thing. And, my wife is a huge part of, she's not around a lot, here, maybe once or twice a week and not seen as much, but she's a huge influence on this place. And as far as just from a practical standpoint,
Yeah.
I'm usually head in the clouds, ideas, but from a very practical standpoint, she's helped me to kind of come down and take steps and initiatives to make things happen. So.
Gotcha. Very cool. So that speaks, I wonder, then that kind of speaks a little bit to, I don't know if you've heard me talk about it before, but like, I believe that it doesn't take just one really great entrepreneur to build a great business. It takes two.
I heard you say that.
And so cool. Then, yeah. So like the visionary integrator concepts, like, I mean, do you feel like you see that in your all's dynamic, like in getting stuff done?
Absolutely. Because I do have a lot of harebrained ideas, and because I'm an executor, it's like, what the hell is he doing?
Right.
So she really helps me to be like, Aaron, that's not a good idea right now, or what have you. It's nice to have someone to bounce ideas off of. Yeah. Generally speaking, so yeah, that works for us.
So what kind of other help have you got or had to elicit to kind of get this done besides your wife helping you?
Well, it's taken everyone, the community, just people that we've connected with, through the Columbia Arts Building, through different people that we've met, whether it's hanging out in the cafe and meeting somebody, maybe a musician. We also do, Columbia Vibe once a month and do our free co-working days on those days as well. So for meeting artists randomly or through, other people and resources and scheduling, we have, we just began to build upon relationships and connections and networking. And so I'm just about every day finding someone along the way, whether it's an artist to bring in to do some cool artwork on a locker or just promoting people in general, I think is what we want to do. I'm finding every day just so much talent in this community.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even believe it from the outside, but once you get in here and start to connect and hear from different people stories, it's like, wow, I want to promote that person, or I want to do this thing, or I just want to be ultimately helpful. Really coming into this was just like, how can I help where I'm at and be the best that I can be for whosoever. So.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think I think when I originally, I don't know, when I was younger, I used to feel like entrepreneurship was all about like starting businesses. But what I've found just along the way with my own journey and then the journeys that I hear about from other people, other entrepreneurs I interview, is like it's really driven by just a desire to be helpful. Mm-hmm. It's not that you want a statue or your name on a plaque or something like that. You just want to be helpful. You want to help unlock what you see as like great potential.
Right.
And I think we're probably on the same page in terms of seeing that in Murray County and then, or Columbia, like specifically, just like the potential here. Like, where can I help unlock this? Because there's a lot here. I like going to I'll go to like karaoke at cities sometimes, and you're like, wow, these talented people who are singing here. Like it's amazing. Just like and you see all types of different talent, not just artistically speaking, like in the traditional sense, but like just creative problem solving all over the place. You get more involved with the city government, and you realize just how hard some of those people work, and for very little money, to contribute to kind of keeping the place growing and stuff like that.
Sure.
So what are some of like the biggest challenges that you're facing right now that you're trying to overcome?
I think bottom line, it's always been fear, more than anything else. But I think the more that you learn about the process and being in it, and that when at the end of whatever X fear may be, you realize that it's just an illusion, and it helps you to say, okay, well, I felt this way about this, but I'm okay. And then when, next Y fear creeps in, it's like, this is just a process.
Right, yeah.
This is something that I'm learning. I'm growing where I'm at.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it's, you just continue, despite the odds, despite the, your mind, that's the biggest thing
your mind.
that we all have to overcome, I think, as entrepreneurs is, it's a thing, but you're driving this thing, not your mind.
Yeah. It's hard. It's weird how hard it is to remember that though sometimes. And no matter how you're growing, to realize that whatever point you reach, there's another way to grow. And so it's kind of like it's all. There's a part of it is exhausting, but a part of it is really rewarding. I'd say it's kind of like farming. Maybe you could probably speak to that. Just like there's an exhausting part of it, but then the reward afterwards is just like worth it. Let's do this again.
Sure.
Like a new season or whatever.
Yeah, I think we're coming into the point. For me, I feel like more than anything else is there's been a lot more help come forward recently. And so I know my strengths and where I'm at and where I'm going, to where, a lot of the things that I have been doing, mostly probably by myself, we've gotten a whole lot more consistency here with members. So we do have a community that's here to help, whether it's opening the space, whether it's closing the space, having somebody here if a visitor shows up to welcome them, to let them know a little bit about what we're doing. And, that's not all on me being here 9 to 5 every single day. I think that was one of the biggest things there for a while. I just felt like I had to be here. I needed to be here to, to help people ultimately. And so, having that consistency is really beginning to help. And, moving forward aside from that with different events that we're hosting and such, I don't have to be or wear all the hats at the same time.
Well, that's a great thing you bring up, because it's most small business owners stay stuck in a mode where they do feel like they have to wear all the hats, or most of them. Yeah. And so was that a challenge for you to let some other people do some of the stuff, or was it like more of a sigh of relief?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm a pretty trusting person. If I've been around you for any time at all, I get a sense of who you are and what you're about, and you're here in front of me, and that helps more than anything else. I think a lot of people have a lot of apprehension about being involved or asking questions or anything like that, but all those things are very helpful, and really encourage anybody watching this to, wherever you're at, if you're thinking about doing entrepreneurship or what have you, like, ask the questions.
100%.
And how can you help? That right there will lead you into a door, and then just keep asking the questions.
Yeah, I mean, that's management.
And keep helping.
That's management in a nutshell.
Right.
Is just there was a guy I was consulting with just recently who was like, he kept telling me, I did this, I researched that, I developed that, I implemented this, and I'm like, man, are you using your executive team at all? Those are the first people below him, I guess. Right. And I was like, what are they doing for you? You don't want people to just carry out your wishes. And then that becomes stressful. It becomes more stressful, because you're like, I'm responsible for everything here. Right. But when you delegate, or when you empower other people to help or bring solutions to you, you spread the blame around a little bit, honestly, but you also spread the risk around, you spread the burden around of entrepreneurship. You don't just carry it all on your back.
Sure.
So it's just like, I think that a lot of people get held up with that because of ego, and not in the big ego kind of, not like that. I mean, it's ego in terms of like, I believe that I am the business owner, so I have to make the decisions. I have to do all the leading and stuff like that. But it's about kind of, like you said, just identifying those people who you're like, hey, I think I can trust you with this.
Yeah, it is an absolute community effort. Anyone who comes and says, how can you help? What can I do? a lot of times, honestly, like I don't always have the answers. I don't know how to put you here or there. Like, what are you passionate about? You know, so asking questions and figuring out roles of how certain people can help. But, you know, a lot of the folks that we have here, you know, they see something and it's like, hey, what about this? And it's like, go, dude. Like, how can I help you achieve what you want to do and, you know, fill the void that you see happening? So it has to be a community effort. It's not going to grow or, you know, be something as great as it could be if it's just me. You know, I have a lot of gifts. I have a lot of talents, a lot of things that I've learned over the years, and I've utilized almost every single one of them since I've been here. And some all at the same time.
Yeah, I remember you doing some framing here, if I remember right. Weren't you doing some framing here?
No.
I've never seen. I feel like I've never seen you with a drill and doing some lumber work.
I can do some minimal things, but no, I don't. I don't do much building other than networking. So
it's a very specific kind of building.
People. I just love people. That's probably like my biggest thing, and I will say is like, you know, learning about people teaches me about myself.
Oh yeah,
is like the key thing that I continue to come back to and say quite a bit.
Yeah,
you know, because I learn about others. It teaches me about myself, and ultimately how we can work together. And that's really what co-working is about, is working together. And that can be from A to Z. You know, that may be you calling me and say, hey, would you come and take some photos of my business and promote my business? And it's like, well, sure.
Yeah.
You know, however I can help, whatever that looks like for you, it doesn't even have to help me.
Right.
Like, it helps me by doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of like it's really like when, like, the more selfless you are, I think that the more it sounds like mumbo jumbo, but the more it really does come back. And it might be a really roundabout way or whatever, but it's just like, I think for a while, I feel like leadership was more just about commanding, and or at least kind of what we saw, at least maybe not what was being taught, but I feel like, you know, in like the mid-century, maybe up until like the 80s, 90s, like, you know, just at least what you observe like in pop culture or movies and things like that, it was like the idea of leadership was more represented as a commanding, strong force or whatever.
Right.
And something stalwart and uncompromising.
Tell them what to do, like I said a while ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
If you see a void, then fill it and let me know how I can help with that. You know,
that's perfect, man. It really is. Do you have anything specific that has helped you, like growth wise, like either by the personal growth or just becoming more of a leader or taking action, like anything specific you want to share?
I don't read often enough, honestly. A year ago, I was reading several books on marketing. I do read a number of blogs. I get, you know, there's different entrepreneurs that I follow and such, and get little tidbits. That's the way that I learn.
Yeah.
You know, best is the quick little nuggets and like, oh, I know what this means to me. This is how I can use this versus reading something in depth and spending, you know, a couple of hours is really, it's difficult for me to find that time or make that time.
Oh, and so there was the period of my life where I grew the most is when I switched off reading books for a little while.
Yeah.
I used to be like every morning I would read, like every single morning or of the day of the work week I would read. And there was this point in my life where I was just, man, I'm living up. And then I'm looking around and I'm like, well, nothing's changed for me yet. And it was like 2 years ago, I think. And then I was all like, I kind of flipped off the book reading switch I didn't stop completely, but more or less, I didn't do it every day anymore, you know, or I did maybe, you know, a few books a week, you know, and that's the thing is like, you had to go back and forth, I guess. And I think when you find yourself in action mode, which is where you've been for a lot recently, you have to turn off the information can really just paralyze you. And it's like, you got to just learn how to take action. So,
yeah. So I feel like I'm coming into another place of being able to slow down and trust quite a few other people to do things and make these things work, even better. The fact that I'm doing a lot of things, maybe 3/4 of the way good, being able to trust other people who do it every single day, whether it's running audio or video, and having those people in place and letting them excel doing what they're doing. Ultimately, they're doing what they love to do, and it ultimately helps us do what we want to do here. And Ross came in, Columbia Vibe, Ross Janes, last week in Columbia Vibe, and Liv Noel was here, and
oh, cool.
Their parents were here, and they more or less said, like, who are you guys? What are you doing here, and why? And we were just like, because we like promoting people, and ultimately, like, everything that we're doing here is about a love for community in Columbia. When I came here 3 years ago, it was just like, I want to go all in on Columbia. Yeah. Based on my experience and living here and what I felt, and kindness, and everybody being helpful. It was like, man, this is something that the world honestly needs to see. Just a bunch of people honoring one another and appreciating one another, and growing together. So that's ultimately what we're doing here. It's really a beautiful thing. Yeah, it's art.
I see it. Yeah, I see it, and I think it's awesome. And I think that's probably a good note for us to end on. Also, there might be some drillings going on. Well, I'm not sure if anybody can hear that on the audio or not. But anyway, Aaron, thank you so much for being here and for talking about it and for doing what you're doing, like helping build community here. Sure thing. It's awesome, and other people have a lot to learn from it. Anything that you want to share as far as any kind of events coming up, or where can people find more about you?
Yeah, I mean, we just had our Riders Round last Friday, and we just scheduled September the 14th, which is a Friday at 6 o'clock.
For the next one?
For the next one.
Sweet.
I don't know the lineup yet, but I do believe we're calling it Muletown in the Round.
Ooh, I like it. Yeah. That's very good.
So...
Cool. Well, awesome. And where can people find you guys at? Where are you located?
MuletownCollective.com, or check us out on Instagram or Facebook, Muletown Collective.
Word. And where's the cab?
The cab is 307 West 11th Street here in Columbia. And, they've got fitness, they've got donuts.
All kinds of
They're
stuff.
They're going to have a brewery.
Fitness, donuts. I love you went fitness, donuts.
Beer, lots of beer. And lots of other artists represented downstairs as well. So
sweet. I'm excited. Again, thank you so much for being on the show. Appreciate it.
Danny.
Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. If you have any questions, or if you would like to see us talk about something, hash us out on the show, you can always shoot me topic ideas at danny@dannycoleman.me. And if you ever want to be interviewed here, just like Mr. Aaron Rudd was, you can do that. If you have something to share with a small business audience, I would love to help you share it. Again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you later.
Want more? Go to dannycoleman.me to download Danny's free small business hiring guide, which includes tips, templates, and tools, plus a step-by-step process you can use to find and keep high-quality employees for your small team or business.